Hi, everyone. Welcome to the ArtistWorks virtual Bluegrass Roundtable live stream. My name is Marcus Luscombe. I'm the Director of Content and Production here at ArtistWorks. And today we have another amazing show lined up for you. I'm joined by two of our fantastic artists and teachers here at ArtistWorks. And we're fortunate enough to have them both in the same location today, so they can actually perform together in real time, which is a real treat for us all. We have Michael Daves, who teaches bluegrass vocals, and Alex Hargreaves, who teaches fiddle. Throughout the show, they're going to be jamming for you, discussing things of bluegrass, taking your questions, and also we're going to be giving away a free 12-month ArtistWorks subscription. So click the link in the description and enter to win. And to get this started, please tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions for these guys along the way, please post it in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many as we can as we get going here. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Michael Daves and Alex Hargreaves. Hey, guys.
Howdy, folks.
Howdy.
All right. Want to kick us off with some playing?
Oops.
Yeah.
We're hearing an echo a couple seconds after. And are you getting that too, Michael?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can fix that for you.
Yeah, I might have to take the headphones off.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll play without the headphones here.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do a almost seasonal number here, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. It's Bill Monroe's Footprints in the Snow.
Okay.
Footprints in the snow. I found little footprints in the snow, Lord. I blessed that happy day when Daddy lost her way, and I found her when the snow was on the ground.
still hearing ourselves back about 10 seconds after.
Yeah. Okay. And now I'm not hearing Marcus, so
Oh, sorry.
there we go.
Yeah, I said, let me work on the audio real quick on the backdrop. But yeah, we got people tuning in from all over the world today.
Great.
So why don't you take it from here and say hi, let folks know what you're up to.
Sure.
I have to take these off.
Yeah.
It's too crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like being in like the
Yeah.
funhouse mirror of audio.
Yeah.
But anyways, that doesn't matter to the listeners.
Hey,
right.
sorry guys, if you can hear me.
Are we back?
There you
Yeah,
go.
I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Dealing with the technology over here. Right back to you.
Yeah. So we're still getting the delay, but
We're still getting the echo, basically like a 10-minute or 10-second echo after we talk. So it's kind
so
well.
anyhow. All right. Well,
So I don't know where we got cut off, but we were talking about our new material that is being released on both of our schools. Do you want to go first?
well, I want to hear more about what you did with Jim Nunley. He's
Okay.
a great guitar player. And,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
So again, not sure where we got lost, but I brought in my good friend Jim Nunley into the ArtistWorks studio, and we got to do some playing and talking, and I got to ask him about, as a singer and a guitar player, what he likes to hear from specifically from fiddle players, because it's something I've talked about a lot in my school and in my video exchanges, is the voice-like quality of the fiddle. It's often in the same register as a singer, and this is all stuff I've talked to Michael about as well, but figuring out that dance between complementing the vocals without getting in the way. So that was a lot of fun to get to do some of that with Jim, and also just talk about playing duo, both instrumentally and vocally, and it was cool getting the opportunity to kind of dive deeper into some of the songs and tunes that I've taught in the course, and then kind of getting to explore those with Jim. So that's kind of the bulk of the new material that was released.
That's great, and I just got to say, Alex is one of the best in the world at backing out vocals. I mean, you might, if you hear Alex play, you might, you're going to be dazzled by his soloing, which is also world class. But from a vocals singer's perspective, there's, as you said, there's such a close connection between the voice and the fiddle. Just kind of the sustain, the ability to movement, to do the movement,
Absolutely.
to slide between, in bluegrass vocals, it's not, the lonesome side of a train going by. It's the lonesome side of a train going by. And we pay a lot of attention to like the contour of the movements between notes, and the fiddle can do all that stuff. So, and you can play breakdowns. So we're very, very jealous of fiddle players in that regard, but we can sing words.
That's right. You've got that advantage.
So, I was thinking, well, there was actually a song that's new to your curriculum that you did with Jim, Bury Me Beneath the Willow.
Yeah.
It's also the first song in my curriculum. So
What do you know?
maybe we could do a little bit of that one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And actually, that song is in my curriculum twice. I do it like a kind of a basic, generic version, like right at the beginning of the course, and then in my intermediate curriculum is focused on duet singing, and then I teach the specific Skaggs and Rice
Great.
Duet. So if you don't mind, I would like to commandeer the kickoff on this song and play the Ricky Skaggs, if I can remember the intro.
You got it.
And see if I can remember the words on this one too. This is one I performed a million times, but I recorded with Chris Thiele, but Chris sang the lead on the
Okay.
so I just come in on the chorus usually, but I'll try to get these verses. Ready? So,
Yeah.
1, 2.
My heart is sad and I am lonely for the only one I love. When shall I see her? Oh, no, never till we meet in heaven above. Oh, bury me beneath the willow, under the weeping willow tree, so she will know where I am sleeping, and perhaps she'll weep for me. She told me that she dearly loved me. How could I believe it untrue? Until the angel softly whispered, she will prove untrue to you. So bury me beneath the willow, under the weeping willow tree, so she will know where I am sleeping, and perhaps she'll weep for me. Tomorrow was to be our wedding. God, oh God, where she'd be. She's out a courting with another, and no longer cares for me. So bury me beneath the willow, under the weeping willow tree, so she will know where I am sleeping, and perhaps she'll weep for me. So she will know where I am sleeping, and perhaps she'll weep for me.
Yeah. Yes, Alex. Very nice. I'm gonna check a little something on my end.
All right.
See if I
I'm still
know.
getting
Why don't you
that.
talk
Yeah.
about some fiddle tunes or something?
Yeah, well, before we move on to a tune, and just one other thing I was thinking about that song is something I get into in my course is using that chord progression, which, we're dealing with 1s and 4s and 5s, and that specific chord progression on "Bury Me Beneath the Willow" is something we encounter a lot in bluegrass. So I use that song to kind of explore how, as fiddle players, we can voice lead between those chords and find ways to connect them while still acknowledging the melody, and not, the bass might be going from the 1 to the 4, which is kind of a big leap, but as a melody instrument, we can find closer ways to connect those chords.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool, and that comes up also in harmony singing. Kind of in more of the advanced portions of my course when we deal with 3-part harmony and like really try to understand how the 3 voices fit together to form chords, and kind of develop a sense of like how a note you're singing on one chord might flow into the note that you're singing on the next chord, and it can like really make it it's easier to like find a part, especially on the fly, or kind of understand and keep your bearings. So
Yeah, absolutely.
voice leading, ear training. It's all
Yep.
it's the same for all musicians. You gotta do
See,
that
I'm not
stuff.
the only one who talks about voice leading and ear
Yeah.
training. Well, do you want to do a little Ducks in the Mill Pond?
That would be great. I love that tune.
Yeah, so we'll do an instrumental, a fiddle tune for you now, and we're going to do Kenny Baker's version of Ducks on the Mill Pond, and this is one that I teach in my course, and I've had the pleasure of getting to work with some of my students in video exchanges on this one, so we'll play it for you now.
Can we start in unison?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
I love this. I love this tune. Let's see. We'll find out in a second whether we played the same version.
That's right. There's only one way to find out.
Do you? Or
Yeah,
which one?
the first
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's try it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Cool.
That's a great one.
I love that tune.
It's got a nice long form too.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long
Very
forms can be
nice,
hard,
guys.
Hard to jam on sometimes.
That's
It's
right.
nice to break them up sometimes, but
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, before we get too far in, we just had a couple questions. You had sort of alluded to voice leading, and a couple people are asking questions. If you could just explain a little bit about what voice leading is for those that are unfamiliar with the term.
Yeah, sure. Well, you got the like, I'm gonna play a chord here, and you can sing the individual notes to make up that chord. Da, 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 which, if you're thinking in terms of the scale, it's the first, the third, and the fifth notes of the scale. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. And then when you go to that 4 chord, the 7, it's it's like the notes of that chord are da, ba, 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 which is the 4th, the 6th, and the first note of the scale. 4, 6, 1. So in voice leading, rather than going da 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 da, which is kind of a big jump, you could reorder those notes. You could go da 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 da. Now this note, the 1, is actually in both chords, so that my voice can stay on that note. 1, 1, 1. Actually, can you sing that note?
Yeah.
Sing that note.
Okay. Put me on the spot here.
Yeah.
1, 1, 1.
And if I was singing the next note up the chord, that's the 3, and then I can just move up a half step to the 4, and you staying on the 1, 3. And if we had a third singer with us, good.
Get Eric in here.
Get random passerby on the street. They might sing the 5, moving to the 6. So those are all like very close movements across the chord changes, and so it's important in harmony singing, but also I think as an improviser, like if you're improvising on an instrument, it helps, understanding that stuff helps you kind of see ahead, like be able to look, like if I'm improvising like in this area and the chord's about to change, I don't have to like uproot and necessarily go to this other place. I can go, play something really close. It allows me to continue a phrase that I'm working on across a chord change without having an unnatural break there. So
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But yeah, that's something I feel like improvisers and singers think about in many different genres of music, and it's what I feel like it's one of those key elements that really tie everything together. Like you might know what the chords are, and you might know where the notes are in those chords, but like you mentioned, if you're just running the arpeggios of those chords, it's going to sound like that. It's going to sound like an exercise or an etude,
or a little disjointed.
Yeah, and voice leading is what really helps tie things together by realizing, oh, well, this note I'm already on is actually also in the next chord. It's just a different degree, and then you can get into different inversions of chords by starting on a different note of that chord. So yeah, voice leading is a never-ending journey to kind of always dig deeper into, and it's something that I always find enjoyable to think about and work on. So hopefully that clarifies things a little bit for folks out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for that description. Very helpful. Got another one here for you, Alex. So maybe this is something that you might be able to demonstrate with Michael in another jam here. When do you choose to use shuffle to accompany instead of long notes, for instance? And you seem to use very little bow pressure even for chords. How do you get it so light?
Oh, that's a great question. It really depends. Sometimes, like for instance, when I'm playing with Michael and he's already he's got the rhythm fully covered, so I don't feel.
And then some. Sometimes he's saying that I'm playing too much. He's trying to be really nice about it.
Well, I don't feel the need to have to necessarily always be involved in the rhythm. So, if I'm thinking texturally, how I can add to what's already happening, sometimes playing long tones might work better. But then sometimes I just want to get in on the fun and be a part of the groove. So that's when I might go to shuffle bows or subdivisions. And in terms of bow pressure, that also depends on a lot of factors. But we're both kind of equidistant from the microphone here, and so it's really important to me that I don't overpower Michael while he's singing and playing. So I'm always trying to kind of mix myself depending on the volume of the other people I'm playing with, how we're mic'd. So there are a lot of different factors that go into those decisions, and there's not one like set right or wrong way to go about it, but that's kind of how I think about things.
Yeah. I just want to pick up on, this is like one of my favorite topics, certainly when it comes to flat picking, is going back to the music, like Bill Monroe, who's the father of bluegrass music, mandolin player. But he evidently he wanted to be a fiddle player, but like he was like the youngest of a bunch of siblings, and so when he came out, like all the other instruments were taken. So like he wanted to play guitar. No, Charlie plays guitar. You know, like, oh no, Birch plays fiddle. So like, oh, Bill, you're stuck with the mandolin. So he resented that initially, but what he ended up doing is he ended up finding ways to like integrate bow shuffle stuff into his flat picking. And so like, you know, when you hear especially his early breaks, like with the Monroe brothers, like he's like roll on, bud, like he would just get like shuffle in that same, just like, I mean, what Bill's playing there, he's pairing the vocal melody of the song with like this idea of like a really propulsive square dance shuffle on the bow. So
1, 2, 3.
So flat pickers, like we all have bow envy, at least. So it's yeah, like as Bill puts it, you can't shuffle with a pick like you can with a bow, but I will try a little bit of it. Anyways, but to me, like that like there's such this great integration of like fiddle shuffle bowing and like trad bluegrass music. And so like if I'm playing like a tune like in that nature, you know, of from that genre, that world, I love to hear the shuffle bowing. But
it's really cool to, you know, when you listen to Monroe's playing, you can kind of point out and hear that fiddle influence in there. And then of course it goes both ways. Like then, you know, his mandolin playing and other bluegrass mandolin players have influenced fiddle players now at this point too. So it's kind of cool how that can cross pollinate. But one other thing I actually thought of when we were just playing that, going back to Paul's question, is, you know, I generally will, like when you're soloing on guitar, like I generally will shuffle or subdivide to provide some sort of rhythmic accompaniment. You know, whereas if I were to just play long tones during your solo, I mean, you'd be just fine, but I wouldn't feel like I was providing like as much of an accompaniment, you know.
I really appreciate that as when I'm going from rhythm to lead, because most of the time, you know, the guitarists are playing, you know, rhythm, and like I'm, you know, playing like a pretty heavy rhythm. Information in there. Especially if I want to go, if I want to play something more sparse, then it's like that. I've stopped playing rhythm. Like that bottom has dropped out of the guitar, the density is gone, and so it's really nice when the other people I'm playing with understand a little bit like what has been missing, and like, you know, that shuffle bow is a great way of, you know, filling in. So I feel very supported when you do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, really appreciate it.
Well, and another thing I was thinking about, talking about like how Bill would put the shuffle bow pattern on fiddle tunes. That's something that, you know, is also a great exercise to do as fiddle players if you're just starting to get comfortable with various shuffle patterns. And that's something that, you know, I've been talking a lot about in my course and in the video exchanges is, you know, what better way to learn a bowing pattern than just to put it over a whole tune, you know. And that might not be the end goal as far as like playing a tune with the same shuffle pattern the whole time, but it's a good way to kind of work it into your muscle memory, and then that becomes a part of your bowing vocabulary, you know.
Yeah. So, do you want to like just play a little bit of something like once or twice through a tune?
Yeah.
Yeah, you demonstrate that?
Sure. Let's see, how about we could do want to do a little Fork a Deer? That's a tune that I teach on this course, and so for those of you out there who may not be familiar with, you know, the term shuffle bow, it can mean a lot of different things, but the most commonly used shuffle pattern, I think most folks would agree, is just this this rhythm, right? And sometimes those are called taters on the fiddle. You might kick off a fiddle tune using that pattern, but just as you're first getting comfortable with that type of bowing, you can just try applying it to a tune. So that would sound something like this if we were to do it on Fork a Deer. I'll start off with some taters. I was playing more in the left hand than just this basic pattern, but by slurring that longer note in the bow, you can still get that rhythmic sensation. So
Yeah.
and there's the Georgia shuffle. I could show you just a little bit of that, which is a bit of an acquired taste, and it's easy to overdo, but it can be a nice thing to throw in there every now and then. So that would sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe it's because I'm from Georgia, but I don't think I'd ever get tired of that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can overuse that.
Yeah, well, I happen to agree with you. But there are some who might feel differently. But yeah, so there are a lot of other shuffle bows out there, especially when you get into various regional old time styles. It's a very deep dive into shuffle bows, but those are two of the more kind of commonly used ones, and you can do a lot just kind of combining those in different sorts of ways. And one thing they both have in common is the subtle accent or not so subtle accent on beats 2 and 4.
The less subtle, the better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a big fan of Tex Logan's
Oh,
fiddling,
yeah.
and he sometimes
does.
all you're hearing is 2 and 4. It's like there might be other notes in there,
Sounds
but
like he's gonna saw the fiddle in half on
it's
that
like
down.
he's gonna wallop you over the head with that 2 and 4.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Tex Logan, there's this great live Monroe recording of Fire on the Mountain. And it's with Tex Logan on fiddle, and it's also one of my favorite examples of how Bill Monroe was inspired by old time fiddle bowing.
Yeah.
That his solo on that track in particular, you really hear those old time shuffle bows in there.
Are you talking about the one on the Smithsonian collection?
Yeah.
It's like if anyone asked me what should I listen to if I want to know about bluegrass and what bluegrass is all about, and of course there are just bazillions of bluegrass recordings out there, I usually point them to the Smithsonian Folkways, Bill Monroe Off the Record, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And Volume 1 is all live Bluegrass Boys recordings featuring a bunch of different people, including Tex Logan's on there. Peter Rowan, Bill Keith, Hazel Dickens, and then Volume 2 is the Bill Monroe and Doc Watson recordings. And like to me, those would be desert island albums for me personally. So
Yeah.
So speaking of Doc Watson, that might actually be a segue. Unless you have a question, I might launch here into a little other subject here.
Launch away. Yeah.
Okay.
And folks, if you have questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments. We're sort of gathering some, and we'll get to as many as we can.
Great. Yeah. So on my school, well, if you all have been on ArtistWorks before, I hope you all have, and if you haven't, come check it out. On each of our schools, we put up these kind of welcome videos, and I change mine up about once a month, and I like to do series on particular artists. And when I launched the school in 2016, I think I did about like 2 years of Stanley Brothers songs. So, but the series that I just wrapped up, actually the final video in it is up now on my site, and it's commemorating the Doc Watson centennial, which was last year, 2003. Doc would have turned 100. So I did about a 15-month series on Doc Watson songs with a bunch of different special guests, including Alex was on there. We had Brian Sutton, Billy Strings, Jack Lawrence, Lori Lewis, Mike Compton, Joe Newberry, and Allison Brown is our compadre, amazing banjo player and ArtistWorks instructor. She's up there now, and so everyone's sharing Doc's songs and stories. And so I wanted to do a song from Doc's music called "Your Lone Journey" or "Your Long Journey." I think that the proper title is "Lone Journey," but that is it was written by Doc's wife, Rosalie, and they recorded it as a duet. This is an incredible vocal duet, and it's an incredible song. And this shows up both in the Doc the series on my welcome videos when I had special guest Lori Lewis, who's incredible singer and songwriter, and also part of my curriculum. She and Tom Rosem came in for a day and shot some videos on harmony singing with me. So Lori's a big friend of ArtistWorks, and anyway, so yeah, Lori and I sang that together in the welcome video. But also, as Marcus mentioned, I'm just releasing, or ArtistWorks is releasing 7 new song lessons on my curriculum, and one of them is this song, "Your Lone Journey." So I teach it as a duet, but right now Alex and I didn't work it up. Unless you want to jump in and be Rosalie.
I might pass on that today.
Pass on that today, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
All right, so this is "Your Lone Journey," as recorded by Doc and Rosalie Watson, but in a different key.
God's given us years of happiness here. Now we must part. And as the angels come and call for me, the pangs of grief tug at my heart. Oh, my darling, my darling, my heart breaks as you take your long journey. Oh, the days will be empty, the nights so long without you, my love. And when God calls for you, I'm left alone, but we will meet in heaven above. Oh, my darling, my darling, my heart breaks as you take your Fond memories I'll keep of happy ways that on earth we trod. And when I come, we will walk hand in hand as one in heaven and the family of God. Oh, my darling, my darling, my heart breaks as you take your long journey.
Man, that's such a great song.
It's one of the best songs of all time,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've ever heard someone play over the B section. That was very cool to hear you.
Well, it's, I think probably one of the few songs in bluegrass old time canon where you actually lose the rhythm there for a second.
On purpose.
On purpose, which I just love. So it's fun
That's
having
right.
an opportunity to. And usually, I guess that's just the vocals that would sing that kind of rubato or out of time part.
Yeah.
So it's fun trying to play that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just beautiful, guys. Very nice. So we got a bunch of questions came in. I'm going to see if I can
Great.
sort of try and wrap a couple of these together for you, so we can get to everybody. But just a lot of questions on sort of just your individual approaches to taking solos, what to do to support the other players. So maybe something, I'll just read off a couple of these questions and just jump in wherever you feel like you want to take it. There's a question about deciding when and when not to use double stops, what style to play on a song, how do you go about playing a melody with scale sequences, and then a couple questions also just asking about second position and when is that useful, when would you go to that. I think maybe some more information on that. Also tips on supporting the instrument that you're playing with. So Michael, what are your tips on playing rhythm for a fiddler and vice versa for you, Alex? And then, well, let's start there. That's a whole.
Well, it sounds like most of those
That's
questions
questions.
are for Alex, but maybe I'll just start with a little bit word about rhythm guitar and as it relates to either vocals or fiddle. And we already talked about how the vocal and the fiddle are so similar in nature. And then I'll let you jump in on all that other stuff. But I think one thing that's really important to notice, whatever instrument you're playing, and is if you're in an accompaniment role, you have to understand something about where the tonal range of the lead voice is, whether it's a singer or an instrumentalist taking a solo. So, for instance, I was just singing, "My days are so long and the nights so long without you, my love." So that vocal melody I was singing corresponded with my second and third string on the guitar. It goes up to the first string a little bit. So that's pretty common for bluegrass vocals to be kind of like coincident with the top three strings on the guitar. So I will generally try to be spacious there. And if I want to be busy, I'm gonna down below. It's not more like folk or rock. You might be used to doing full strums, but that's very rare in bluegrass. And part of it is just because we are all kind of basically co-equal parts of the band, although some banjo players and fiddle players don't feel that way. But so I'm just noticing, like, if someone's singing low, "The days are so long," then I'm not gonna do like a bunch of bass runs in that same area. So it's just being sensitive to the tonal range, and then like finding like where there's like a lane for you to kind of contribute and not mask what's going on. Because if I try to sing over I kind of feel like I'm having to shout.
Yeah.
But if I could play a busy bass line, none of the days are so lonely, the nights so long without you. And that might fall into that category of overplaying, but at least it's not like directly trotting on the vocal. And I would be thinking, in terms of like anyone I'm accompanying, I'd just be listening for the sort of thing they're doing. Like if you're doing something like kind of intense and shuffly, I might want to kind of amplify that rhythm. With some like eighth notes, stuff like that to add energy. But if you're doing something more long tone based, or something a little bit more kind of delicate, and I'm might try to find a way to catch your vibe as much as I can and support that. But anyways,
yeah, I love that. I mean,
over to Alex.
I feel like kind of the overarching theme with a lot of these questions, and also the question earlier, is just really it comes down to listening, and it's easier said than done, and it's something I'm trying to always work on and remind myself of, because it's so easy for us to kind of get caught up in our own little worlds, but at the end of the day, if we're listening to our fellow musicians and thinking about how we can complement what's going on in the big picture, like being able to zoom out and listen to the full band or the full duet, or however many people you're playing with, and think about what you can do to contribute to that, whether it's texturally or dynamically or whatever that might be. So just that seems to be like the common theme. But let's see, maybe I'll work, I'm trying to think of those questions. I'll work my way backwards. I remember there was a question about second position. I think really with any positions, it comes down to thinking about the range of the melody and the melodic ideas you're wanting to play. And if that entails a note that's not available in first position, for instance, in the key of C, I often find myself in second position, because that allows me to have full access to this octave. Whereas if I were in first position, I could only hit that B. And sometimes, you can stretch up there a little bit, but then you don't have the same like range of motion. So something I talk about a lot in my course is thinking about these different shapes that a lot of bluegrass vocabulary is built off of. So this octave shape of first finger on the C and fourth finger on the high C, and then working with the different pentatonic scales and kind of blues ideas within that octave. You can do a lot just by having your first finger anchored on that fifth right there. So that's an example of when I might decide to go into second position.
You did that, I heard.
Oh, right. Ashland Breakdown. Yeah, the Kenny Baker tune starts off. You really need to be in second position to play that.
Yeah.
Still in second position. Shift down there. And then first. that's a great example of that tune. Is a great usage of second position there on the A and B part, and then the third part goes down to first position. But yeah. Oh, there was a question about, I think, double stops. When to use double stops. I see Marcus has returned.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, let's work that in. There's just a couple questions that seemed like a relevant sort of segue here, asking about like different keys and qualities. Would you choose a particular key to evoke a particular emotion? And then secondary to that, also for you, Michael, do you translate riffs across different chords, or do you keep G licks separate from C licks and that sort of thing? Like, so for that, it kind of segues from the second position idea that certain things fit certain spaces where they're. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
I'll start with the second part of that. Is as an instrumentalist, I'm really big on practicing transposition. So like if you know a G lick, I think it's really important to be able to play that anywhere. And the reason for that is, I think, to like improvise well, you really have to be playing from the sound of what it is that is in your mind, and not just from the fingers, like what you like the memorized stuff. I think that muscle memory is like the thing that we need to function and to get up and running. But once you have enough of that to function reasonably well, then the game is more about how to like get past reliance on the muscle memory. And so that's where like the ear training comes in. And so for me, transposing like anything, like whether it's a fiddle tune or a lick or something from key to key is essential, because it kind of keeps my ear involved. And again, so I'm not just doing the habitual thing all the time. I'm a lot of the time, but so anyways, my kind of on guitar, my kind of go-to practice routine, if I have 20 minutes, is like I'll put on a metronome, pick a fiddle tune, and I'll take it through all 12 keys in open position. And no one is ever going to call Billy in the Low Ground an E flat. I mean, I don't know, maybe they would, but it like a Thiele Dave show when they were trying to tease us or something. But anyways, but the point is, again, it's like connecting me to like the underlying sound of the tune, and like just I want to be able to have a musical thought in my head and like be able to get that out on the instrument wherever I am. So anyhow, so that's transposition. Now I forgot the first part of it, but I'll think about it. Oh, different keys. Oh, actually,
really
yes.
Cool question.
That is a cool question.
Yeah.
Now, different keys do have different moods or feelings to them. I think just like you can transpose things, but like I think like B is a very bright key. It's a very kind of brash, and like a lot of bluegrass is in B. It's like this got this intensity, and this part of it is that's because of like male vocals. Like if you sing like a song that's usually in G, if you take it up to B, it's like it's higher. It's like more intense. But I think it's also got an inherent feel to it. And if you took it to B flat, it would just be a little softer or something. F is a very like kind of soft key. It's like the key of waltzes and love. And then evidently, according to James Brown, the funkiest key is E flat.
Nice.
And that may just be because the alto saxophone is an E flat instrument. Maceo Parker just sounds great, But I think there is something to each key having a personality that you got to match. But like as a singer, you really have to be thinking about your vocal range, and it's important to not force yourself into like a key that's just not working for you technically, that you're having to strain either high or low. So that really needs to be the first consideration as a singer. And if you find that your ideal key is like C sharp and you want to take it to a jam, then you should take it either to C or D to just make it reasonable for other people to play with you. But it's sort of like a balancing act between working with vocal range and then like developing sensitivity to the inherent mood of a given key. So I don't know if you.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are people who actually like visualize colors with different keys.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes along with what Michael was saying. So yeah, it's a cool thing to think about. But like Michael was saying, you wouldn't, as a singer, probably wouldn't show up to a jam and sing a standard in D flat or whatever, which is maybe true, but at the same time, it's usually only the fiddle player who actually has to. Everyone else can use capos typically, I guess mandolin too. But as fiddle players, it's also really important for us to practice transposing like Michael was talking about as well. So, taking a fiddle tune that you're really comfortable with, or a really simple vocal melody, and try taking it into some less familiar keys is something that's really important, because at the end of the day, if you're on a gig or in a jam session, the singer always gets to decide what key they're going to sing a song in. So as fiddle players, it's our job to, we may have never played the song in that key before, but we had played it maybe in the key of A. But if we've practiced enough transposing, we kind of know how we can, like Michael was saying, through a combination of muscle memory and shapes, and also, kind of objectively knowing the melody and being able to hear it and apply it to a different key. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You want to try this one?
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. You have more questions, or we launch into
Oh, cool. No, I was just going to remind you the context of the double stop question too. It was about like using double stops to transition between positions. And actually, given the example of Lonesome Moonlight Waltz, asking for any sort of any tips on finger spacing as you move through positions on something like that.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, Lonesome Moonlight Waltz, you can generally play in first position, but there is that Kenny Baker variation where he slides up to third position.
Yeah. I have a simple solution to this, which is
Oh, yeah?
have frets.
There you go. They do make fretted fiddles out there, so maybe that's what we all need to do.
Yeah.
Or get a fiddle capo.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's I think that's the only shifting that I would generally do in that tune. But that's an example of how you can keep that same shape, D minor shape, and just slide the whole thing up to third position. So I guess, if you are singing one position with double stops, trying to find a common note between consecutive double stops can be helpful, because then you can focus on keeping that finger anchored while you move the other notes. So like, for instance, I'm keeping my first finger planted on that E string. So you can look for little things like that to have a point of reference or an anchor, and then you really just need to work on the one note that's moving to focus on getting that one in tune.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And I got another great question here just about how do you guys approach like working in a group setting on rhythm? Any tips for maybe somebody that's just joining a band to sort of lock the band in? Any advice there?
Well, when I'm trying to like discern like the subtleties of like a rhythm, like if I'm like maybe trying to play along, I think one thing is like playing along with recordings can be really great, because most of the great bluegrass recordings, for instance, are not metronomic. The tempos shift a little bit. They might get faster in a solo and then slow back down in the vocal or something. So I think training as much as possible along with the recordings you like, is good. Now with rhythm, a couple things that I find helpful. One is to vocalize rhythm. There are various ways of counting. I mean, you can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, but that's actually not a very ergonomic way to count. Sometimes I'll use this. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. There's a sort of a westernized version of some like Indian classical drumming like a system called takademi, because in Indian classical drummers can like vocalize like all of what they do, and like everything. Like groups of 2 can be taka 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 taka. Groups of 3 can be takita takita takita. Groups of 4 can be takademi takademi tak, which is how that system gets its name. But like I just use taka taka just because it's a lot more like just the way the tongue goes back and forth in the mouth. It goes taka 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 taka. So taka 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 taka. And there's something about like me like vocalizing along with what I'm playing. It's like there's like a deeper internalization, even if it's like not totally regular. Like I end up like kind of owning and being like more attuned to the subtleties of rhythm. And then another thing is just like for plectrists, just muting the strings and like and playing along, just trying to find that eighth note pulse with not playing the note or the chord or anything, but just paying attention to like the physical movement of the hand and how is that aligning with like the feel and the groove present in a recording, either recording or like a band. So I mean, if I'm like kind of off to the side, sitting in or something, I might kind of do that. And not like I'm saying on mic. I don't want to. I'm not like trying to make this sound part of the music, but just if I'm just trying to find my way into like how this group of musicians is feeling time. Sometimes just stripping it down to just the pure physicality of how my hand's moving, I find really helpful, and then helps me, it's like it aids the listening part of it. So
absolutely, yeah. Well, that made me think of something that I try to practice on fiddle too, which is a similar concept of just treating the bow like a pick and just keeping that subdivision going back and forth no matter what. And again, like you said, it's not something I would actually necessarily do in a real life situation, but I use it as a way to help kind of relate to the rhythmic subdivisions that are going on and figure out how like the kind of the physicality of that and how to sit within the groove. So that's something I've talked about with my students on ArtistWorks, is just how you can use that as an exercise on any tune you're working on to build up that rhythmic foundation in your bow arm. But yeah, I think part of that question was also like how you think of that in a group format, and I think it comes back to just everyone really listening intently, and if you have the luxury of time to try stuff out, you can kind of experiment with different things and be like, well, what if the mandolin player does more of a percussive chop or more of an open like shuffle strum, or what if someone is sitting a little more behind the beat or on top, and kind of explore there are many different ways to approach a groove, and through listening to the masters and playing along with recordings and then experimenting with the different variables, you can really learn a lot that way.
Yeah,
that's great advice, guys. Thanks so much. We're about at the hour mark, and we would love to have you as long as you want to stay, but being respectful of your time, do you want to play something more for our audience here?
Sure,
I do. Yeah.
Cool.
We could do I would do this Hazel song.
Yeah.
This is this song. There's another one that I just added to the curriculum. It's by Hazel Dickens, who is definitely one of my favorite singers of all time. Not just in bluegrass, just super inspiring. Like, just she brings all the blood and guts and heart and emotion, and it just really brings it. She's no shrinking violet. So this is a song she wrote and recorded in the '80s called "You'll Get No More of Me." Actually, I got Hazel just had this album out. Hazel Dickens and Alice
nice.
Gerard. This is Alice, another hero, and mentioned that Alice is part of our interview library on my site. So that's in addition to the welcome videos I was telling you about with the that I do monthly. That I've also been fortunate to kind of log a bunch of like kind of in-depth interviews with a bunch of legendary singers, including Alice Gerard and Mac Wiseman, Bobby Osborne, Jesse McReynolds, Laurie Lewis, Peter Bowen, Tim O'Brien, just lots of great folks, and just getting to talk shop about singing and like hearing them talk about their craft and how they came upon their own style and all that. So anyways, but here's Hazel. Unfortunately, I didn't get to talk to Hazel. She passed away. I think I want to say 2011-ish. School launched in 2016, but we're going to do one of her songs called "You Get No More of Me." On the one, two, one, two.
As you go from me, you want all that's left, the last shred of pride in my heart. Till you run the last teardrop from my eye, you won't be satisfied. So take your cold, unloving heart, your eyes to find it, see. Son, you never found the door to this heart of mine. You'll get no more of me. You break my heart like a cruel winter storm, bending my branch so low. Oh, your wayward heart and your tortured soul leave no memory worthy to hold. So take this cold and loving heart, your eyes to find it, see. Though you never found the door to this heart of mine, you get no more of me. So I'll take back my heart from the willow bough. I'll hang my tears out to dry. I'll hang my head in sorrow no more, and no more tears I'll cry. So take your cold, unloving heart, your eyes to find it, see. Though you never found the door to this heart of mine, you'll get no more of me. Oh, you'll get no more of me.
Yeah.
That's bluegrass.
Awesome.
That's a bluegrass song right there for you. And now it's in my curriculum, so I'm really looking forward to hearing some students learn that and share.
Yeah.
Do you want to close with a fiddle tune? Just kind of burn something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. We'll finish with a tune. Is there anything else we need to address here before we sign off?
No, not really. I just wanted to welcome everybody that asked questions that we didn't get to today. Please check us out at ArtistWorks. I mean, that's the joy of this, is that not only is there like extensive lessons, but you can actually interact with both Alex and Michael via video exchange. So you can ask these questions to them directly and get your answers personally sent to you. So please visit us over there. And yeah, another fiddle tune would be great.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Is there anything in your curriculum that's doc adjacent or?
Well, let's see. I was thinking there's backup and push.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought of that because we were talking about second position stuff. Did Doc probably did that one, right?
Probably. Or
yeah.
I like to medley that one with Black Mountain Rag though.
Oh, well, there you go.
So let's go.
Yeah.
For Black Mountain.
Okay.
Can we do like C and G?
Yeah.
I'll take it in C. You take it in G, and then we'll go back.
Yeah.
So let's do.
So we'll do Black Mountain,
Yeah.
C and G, and then backup and push.
Let's do C, G, G, C, and then back up and push.
Okay. Cool.
Arrangements while you wait. All right.
That's right. Thanks again for tuning in, folks.
Some haters on the
was, yeah.
All right.
Woo! Very nice, guys. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. It was really a treat to have you on.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus,
yeah.
and thank you everyone
Great teaching
who
and-
joined in live and who may watch this in the future.
Yeah, yeah. And for anyone that had to tune out, this is going to be available on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. We do these live streams pretty frequently, so we've got a lot more coming up, and that'll be the best way to keep in touch. Let you know when the next one's happening.
Yeah, and hope to see you on the site too. Each
Yeah.
of our sites.
Yeah.
We got a lot of cross enrollment actually. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. And thank you, everyone, tuning in. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.